Welcome into your Friday edition of Bet. And it is a Friday night that we're going to get you locked and loaded for the weekend. Andre Snellings is going to join me. We're going to talk some NBA. Also, Stephen Holder, who covers the Colts, is going to pop on with us. We'll find out the latest. What do the Colts expect to do as we get closer to the NFL draft? And could they be in the market for one Lamar Jackson? I'll have XFL plays for you. Also, I have a plethora of college basketball plays for you tonight. So buckle up. Let's get it going. And Dre joins the show for the good word. Dre, what's up? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's Friday.
It's Friday. That's right. Let's get it going. The good word. You know how we roll. Donovan Mitchell, first basket tonight against the Heat. And you can get that at plus 440. Dre, what's your good word?
Candy corn. As in, I wouldn't take it. Like, I'm not a fan of candy corn, and I'm also not a fan of taking a 1 in 10 chance for plus 440 odds. You know, I've done the first basket bets before, and in my experience, it's a center or a role player as often as it is the leading scorer. So it's one thing if you're in a promotion where you get some type of credit, win or lose. I've done those before. I've had some success, especially with long shots. But just as a straight up bet, like candy corn, I'm going to pass.
Man. And, you know, I really liked you, Dre. There are two kinds of people in this world. There's those that love candy corn, and that would be me. And there's those who don't. So obviously we are on opposite sides here, as well as on this bet, because my good word is all, as in all day, baby. The Cavs have the height with Mobley and Allen. Get this. They score first in all of their matchups in almost 50% of their games. The Cavs score first. Here's another one for you. Donovan Mitchell, since he's joined the Cavs, scores the first bucket in almost 40% of those 50% games that they get the first tip. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this tonight, Dre. And if he scores the first basket, I'm blowing you up, baby. I'm blowing you up. Here we go. Number 2, Anthony Davis. He's on my shirt tonight. As you can see, I like the Lakers tonight, baby. No double-double at 3-1. No double-double for this cat. What's your good word?
Injury. Because the only way I see him not getting a double-double against Jakob Poeltl and the Raptors front line is if he gets injured. Anthony Davis got a double-double. He averaged 15 rebounds per game in 3 games against Poeltl's Spurs before Poeltl was traded. And now, I mean, Poeltl missed one of those games, but the point holds. I feel like I have to say there is a non-zero chance that Davis is unable to finish the game tonight. I've had that happen many times through the years when I've either bet on him or had him in DFS. But the odds of him getting injured, to me, should be worth a lot more than 3-1 payout. And if he doesn't get injured, he's had double-doubles in 8 of his last 10. So I agree with your shirt. If he plays, he should be in for another big night tonight.
Dre, why do you got to throw that out there? Why do you got to throw that negative energy out there, man? Don't do that. My good word is yes to the double-double. Yeah, and I'm going to lay it at 3-1. In fact, I like him over points and rebounds tonight as well, and that's at 41.5. Listen, he is the star of Tinseltown. Without LeBron James active and attractive, he has been healthy, and he's averaging 26 points and 12 rebounds a game without LeBron on the court. Last question for you, or statement, I should say. Lamar Jackson, 8-1 to win Comeback Player of the Year next year in the NFL. What's your good word?
Sneaky. As in, this could be a sneaky good idea because, see, I think of the Comeback Player of the Year award being for someone who had this catastrophic injury and missed the whole season and therefore is coming back and showing he can still play. I don't think of Jackson in that category, but his season technically did end early, so I guess he qualifies for this award. And if he gets his money, his contract this offseason, I could certainly see him coming back with a vengeance next season, turning in another MVP caliber campaign. And if he plays like an MVP but doesn't win, then I could see a push for him getting another award like comeback player of the year. So I kind of like this, especially if I can parlay it with something else like I can on some sites. I'm going to go with sneaky. Like, there's a sneaky good idea.
I've got one word for you, Dre. And when I say it, you're going to go, Anita's right. Hamlin. All Damar Hamlin has to do is suit up, play one game for the Buffalo Bills. Done. He's won the award. After what we saw happen this past season, it's all he has to do. Is just, he doesn't even have to make a tackle. He doesn't even have to tackle. He doesn't have to make an interception. He doesn't have to deflect a pass, Dre. All he has to do is suit up, go out there, play one game for the Buffalo Bills. Done. The award is his. And God bless. Because what an unbelievable storyline that would be for the NFL. So my good word is Hamlin. And thank God he's doing well right now. Dre, I want you to hang tight. Okay, we're going to come back to you. You and I, we're going to talk some NBA. We're going to give the folks out there some plays, hopefully winners. But we're going to go to the gridiron. Why? Well, we've got Stephen Holder joining us. And as we are about 2 months away from the NFL draft, the Colts are going to be front and center with a lot of conversations. So, Stephen, we're thrilled to have you on Bet. I want to share a quote from your general manager, Chris Ballard, at the Combine. And I'm sure you were standing there front and center. Just for the folks that are watching right now, quote unquote, everybody has already stamped that you have to move up to number one to get the guy. I don't know that I believe that. So as we know, the Colts are sitting at 4. What do you know? What do you think the Colts are going to do with that number 4 pick?
Well, look, there's some conflicting evidence here, and when you try to project what the Colts are going to do. Number one, under Chris Ballard, he has had 6 drafts. He's only picked in the first round 3 times in those 6 drafts. He's traded the pick twice. He's traded down in another instance, and then traded out of the first round in another opportunity. So I get it, right? But I also think this is one of those situations where there's a lot where you can base your decision on to maybe reject history. And here is why. They have never been in this situation with this kind of opportunity. The last time the Colts picked in the top 5, Andrew Luck was their quarterback. They had no inkling he might retire, which he did a year later. Now they have no quarterback. They have been on this 4-year carousel at quarterback. There is just an unbelievable amount of pressure on them, frankly, to solve this problem. So they understand what's at stake, and also ownership understands that they have to solve this problem. So that's a factor here as well. So this is just an unprecedented situation where I think for Chris Ballard and this Colts organization, you can kind of overlook what they've done before, and I think it's going to be a quarterback.
Stephen, let's talk about Lamar Jackson, right? As we know, the Ravens, they put the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. So that means any team could go out there, wheel and deal with Lamar, offer him a contract. If the Ravens don't match it, that team potentially gets Lamar Jackson. Of course, they have to give up 2 first-round draft picks. The Colts have not been one of the teams that have come out publicly to say, thanks, no thanks, we're not even going to engage in conversation. And there's some talk and speculation that Lamar could be a good fit for the Colts. Do you see the Colts making a play for Lamar Jackson?
So I'll start by saying I have seen no momentum or no indication that the Colts are a factor in the Lamar Jackson conversation. On the other hand, I would agree. It does make sense. They are one of the few teams that have really the cap flexibility from a salary cap standpoint that it requires to make a move like this. They also have recently hired head coach Shane Steichen, who had so much success with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia as their offensive coordinator. You do kind of wonder what could he do by integrating a player like Lamar Jackson into his scheme. So there are a number of reasons why you would look at the Colts and say this fit could make sense. And then we've already discussed their quarterback situation, which has been absolutely terrible and completely unstable. So it makes a lot of sense, but I have heard no indication that they are going that direction, even though you could see why they might.
All right, so let's look at the Colts outside of the quarterback position, right? A lot of people expect them to take a quarterback in that first round. But what are some of the other areas? What are some of the other players that you think in positions the Colts can go after in the draft, Stephen?
One position I'm really paying attention to is wide receiver. Now, again, you can look at history. They've not made a first-round pick at wide receiver in quite some time, or really a lot of early picks at wide receiver. They have made 2 second-round picks in the last 5 years, but they also don't have a clear-cut number 1 elite level wide receiver. And I mentioned Shane Steichen. We see what he was able to do, for example, with A.J. Brown being integrated into Philadelphia last season. What kind of difference did he make? So I think there's an argument to be made, and there is some conversation within the organization about the fact that they do not have this bona fide number 1 wide receiver who keeps you up at night, even though they do like Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce very much and think they both have bright futures. That's the position I'm looking at. Also, offensive line depth after a huge step backwards at that position last season.
Stephen, thank you. It will be interesting to see how this all unfolds. We appreciate your time on Bet. Let's bring back Dre. Let's talk some NBA. Each and every week, Dre, he contributes a phenomenal column to ESPN. I highly recommend you check it out. ESPN, go to the NBA site. And so let's talk about your column that hit this week, Dre. And I know one of your topics, you're talking about players pertaining to, of course, fantasy basketball. But I want to go one step further, and I want to talk about Jokic. I do believe he deserves the MVP. Again, I want to say there's just 16 games remaining. The Nuggets have a 7-game lead. At what point in time do you think Denver starts shutting him down? He doesn't start playing. We're not seeing those triple doubles happen, if at all. How do you move forward with Jokic in regard to player props?
Yeah, I've already slowed way down on using Jokic in player props for that exact reason. I'm sure he would like to win a 3rd straight MVP, and he has a good chance at that. But again, he's already got 2 MVPs. You know what he doesn't have? A championship. And so I'm sure that the Nuggets are already planning with that big 7-game cushion. How can we make sure that Jokic is fresh for the playoffs? Which means that either less action in a given game or maybe more games off. So I've already slowed down, and once they clinch entirely, then I'm out on Jokic for the rest of the season as far as player props go.
Got it. Note to self, because you know how I like to play those player prop bets. Let's talk about the Celtics for a minute. They lost that number 1 seed in the East to the Bucks, so now they're 2.5 games down, and they've got the 76ers on their coattails in the Atlantic. They're only 2 games up on the 76ers. So do you think they lose the Atlantic division to the 76ers?
I would certainly look at it because the 76ers are plus 600 and they're only 1 game back in the loss column. So here's the thing. The Celtics rushed out to a big lead in both the Atlantic Division and in the East during a time period where both the 76ers and the Bucks were dealing with major injury. With the 76ers, Tyrese Maxey and James Harden both missed a good chunk of the first 3 months of the season. But since they've been back, and they, along with Joel Embiid, have been largely healthy, they've been slowly pulling the Celtics back into range to now, as we pointed out, they're only a game back in the loss column. And when you also look at the fact that the 76ers have the easiest schedule remaining left in the entire NBA, according to our BPI strength of schedule measure, they should be able to keep winning and really keep the pressure on the Celtics to match them. So what I see is maybe a dead heat as to which one of those teams will win. If I can get one of the teams in that dead heat at 6-1 odds, yes, please.
Yeah, and I like the 76ers tonight, by the way. We're going to get into our picks in just a second. But before we do, let's talk about the Miami Heat, because they're currently that final spot to avoid the play-in, which, by the way, you can bet it around even money to participate in the play-in. They are 2.5 games back to the Nets. So how would you play that when it comes to the Heat? What are your expectations for them for the remainder of the regular season?
Yeah, I would take that bet for the Heat to be in the play-in because there's too many outs against them. They're currently actually in the 7th spot, which is the first team in the play-in. They would have to catch, the team in front of them, who they're 2.5 games behind, in order to avoid that. They're 4.5 games behind the team that's in 11th, so they're unlikely to fall all the way, out of the playoffs. So when I look at, the schedules remaining and the quality of the teams, the Nets, according to BPI, are ranked higher than the Heat, but the Heat have an easier strength of schedule. On the flip side, the Hawks, who are battling with the Heat for the Southeast Division, but that doesn't matter because you can win your division and still be in the play-in if you end up in the 7th slot. They're only a game and a half behind the Heat, and even though the Heat are ranked a little better by BPI, the Hawks have the easier schedule. If either of those teams finishes ahead of the Heat, then the Heat's in the play-in, and I think there's a better than 50-50 shot that happens, so I think there's value in that bet.
I love it. Again, make sure you check out Dre's column on ESPN.com. Check them out, of course, on the NBA site. All right, let's feed our viewers some winners tonight on NBA slate. Let's start with the Cavs going up against the Heat. Dre, Cavs favored by 2. The over-under is 212.5. What's your play here?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cavs. I'll give the points, and I'm going to take the under. The Cavs they've been one of the best teams in the league all season, and they've continued that. They've won 3 in a row, like 4 of their last 5, and I want to say maybe 11 of their last 15 games overall. And they've been winning with defense. So in their last 9 wins, in 6 of those games, they've held their opponents to 100 or fewer points. The Heat are the exact opposite. They're coming in, winners of only 3 of their last 10 games, and they're struggling because of their offense. In their last 5 losses, they've only gotten over 100 points twice in those 5 games. So you put that together, this looks to me like a game where the Cavs defense should prevail in a low-scoring game.
Actually, I'm on the opposite side here. First things first, I do like the Cavs. I'll lay the 2. I'll get into that in a second, but I'm on the over here. 5-2 against the spread, the over has hit. I'm sorry, 4-1, the over is hit for this Cavs team in their last 5 road games. So I'm on the over. In regard to the Heat, they're 5-16 against the spread. Lowry is expected to still be out. I just look at this Heat team, Dre. They're very inconsistent. I think they've underachieved. Their defense is solid, but they can be had in the paint, where we know Mobley and Allen, I think, are going to dominate. So again, I like the Cavs. I'll lay the points, and I'm on the opposite side of Dre. I'm taking the over, and I love that this number keeps on falling because it was 214 a few hours ago. All right, let's talk about the Blazers. They are in the city of brotherly love. Not that they're going to get a lot of love. And 76ers team, Dre, they're favored by 9.5 points. You heard me correctly. 233.5 is the over/under. What's your play here?
Yeah, that's a big number, but I'm going to take the 76ers and lay all of those points because they're playing really good ball. We've just got done talking about that with the Celtics. They're continuing their trek towards being one of the best teams in the NBA. They've won, I want to say, 9 of their last 12 games, and so they're just on a positive trajectory. The Trailblazers, on the other hand, come into this game road weary. This will be their 5th straight road game. And also they're 6th in their last 7 games. And if you look at their last 6 games, they've lost 4 of the 6, including 3 in a row. And in their losses, they've been by an average of almost 15 points per game. So it's a big number, but I'm going to take it and take the 76ers.
I'm with you. I like the 76ers as well. I'll lay the big number, and also I like the over here. The 76ers 21-8 against the spread at home. They've won 3 straight. Dre, they were 15 of 25 from behind the arc against Minnesota. So they're shooting the heck out of the ball. They're chasing Boston, who we just talked about, of course, for that number 2 seed. And they are both top 7 in offensive and defensive efficiency. Meanwhile, the Blazers they're just god-awful. 4-13 against the spread on the road, and they've just been struggling on defense. So I'm with you. 76ers, I'll lay the points, and also I do like the over. The last NBA game, let's tee up for the folks, and that is the Lakers hosting the Raptors. The Raptors, believe it or not, are favored. Now, just a few hours ago, the Lakers were favored by 1. Now the Raptors are favored by 2.5. The over/under is 224.5. Does that swing? Does it do anything for you?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lakers, and if you want to give me the 2.5 points, I'll take those too. Unlike Candy Corn, I think you and I will be on the same side with this. The Lakers have been playing strong basketball of late because Anthony Davis has been playing the way he was back in November and December when he had the Lakers on a win streak when LeBron was out. He's doing the same thing now. That's why I like him over 41.5 total points plus rebounds as well, because He's averaged 33 and almost 15 over his last 5 games, going over 41.5 in all 5 of those games. And I've already talked about what he's done this season when he's seen Jakob Poeltl lined up across from him. So I like Davis to go big tonight, and I like the Lakers with those points.
Yeah, baby, I'm with you. Give me the Lakers, give me the points. I might even play them on the money line now. And I'm definitely all over that AD over 41.5 points and rebounds. I just might make that my best bet tonight on Daily Wager, which you can watch later on tonight on ESPN 2 at 6 o'clock and look and find out and see. But this Lakers team, AD is the star right now in Tinseltown with no LeBron James being active and attractive. And as you said, averaging 26 points and 12 rebounds a game. Meanwhile, for the Raptors, 3-7 against the spread on the road, 0-4 on Friday. And this is interesting, Dre. They've been in Los Angeles since Tuesday. Could be dangerous. Maybe not as dangerous as being on South Beach since Tuesday, but I think it's dangerous. And also, Van Fleet with his little temper tantrum, I don't think he's going to get any love from the refs tonight. I just don't. Dre, always great having you on. Love you in the suit, and hopefully we have just fed the people a ton of winners. Enjoy your weekend, my friend.
You too. Have a great one.
All right, so we're going to go from the NBA to the XFL. That's right. I am all in on the XFL. Before I give you my Week 4 plays, let's take a look back. Let's recap some of the highlights from Week 3.
They're saying that they're the best team in our division. Let's go show everybody who's the best team.
That's what I'm talking about!
Defensive-wise, we got to go get turnovers, get the ball back to our offense, let them do what they do.
We practice every week handling some type of adversity, and we're overcoming it.
Remember, on 4th down or in the last 2 minutes of the half, there's a rule, either a 4th down fumble or 2 minute. Only the fumbling player can recover in advance.
Sometimes it takes getting punched in the face early for everybody to wake up.
It is going to be violence with the wind.
You know they're going to run it, that's for sure.
Gonna be a windy day today. Dude, can't ever get no good weather.
Wind is the one thing that it affects the over-under more than rain, even snow. And I did talk to one odds maker who said they took a $20,000 bet.
He's going to make a mistake, and we're going to take it from him.
Looking over the middle, his receiver fell down and picked off. That's Michael Joseph, his 3rd interception, and it's a pick 6 with the flip. Michael Joseph, hey now.
Hey, you got to manifest. I told you you're going to make a mistake, and I'm going to take it from him.
People have spoken, and the XFL has delivered. If you're not familiar with the beer snake, fans here in D.C., they drink their delicious beverage, and with the empty cup, they string them together to form one of the longest beer snakes you will see at any sporting event in the country.
860 dog.
860 on 2, 860.
Oh, go for it.
Hot!
Danucci takes a shot upfield to Gordon. Gordon caught it. Gordon's backstepping. Gordon's going to score.
You want to know what life is like in the XFL, especially here in Arlington, the hub? Take the cattle to the trough.
It's nothing like having the O-line and some barbecue together.
It's just gonna be me trying to like corral the cattle, you know, like a good sheepdog does out in the fields. That's what my job is corral the cattle.
A flag! That's a flag! Oh my goodness! No turn, he spun him all the way around! The ball doesn't even get there.
Hey, we ain't getting no calls here, man. We just gotta play.
Big game, Bob.
Here he is in the locker room. All these games are tight and close for the most part and go down to the last series or so. So we just remember that as we move forward, all right? Great job, though. Great job. Got that bonus check coming.
You got my back. I got your back. 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 You got my back. I got your back.
Well, hopefully I've got your back. By the way, how great seeing Doug Kazarian in the booth. How far we have come in regard to having a gambling expert in the booth talking about gambling while a game is happening. I just love it. All right, so let's look forward to Week 4 of the XFL. Here are my picks and plays for you. Roughnecks going against, as we know, the best team in the XFL, going up against the worst team in Orlando. So you know what? I'm going to lay the 9. They beat them already once this season, 33-12. Wade Phillips, that defense, only allowing 3.6 yards per play. Brandon Silvers, arguably second best quarterback in this league. So yes, I'm going to lay the points with the Roughnecks. Number 2, let's go to the Brahmas and the Sea Dragons. I like the over here. Sea Dragons put together, we saw the great pass and touchdown with Josh Gordon. Offense have been rolling with DiNucci, 855 passing yards. Meanwhile, Seattle, their defense, giving up 11.7 yards per play. So I love the over there. In regard to the Vipers, I'll take the points against DC. This is probably going to be the most competitive game, but since the Vipers have Brent Hundley now at their quarterback position, boy, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, 66 rushing yards, and a touchdown, put up 26 points. And DC, they got into a little bit of a brawl. So their linebacker Francis and their defensive tackle Wright are going to be suspended for this game. So I do not expect DC's defense to be as good as it has been. And last but not least, this has to be probably my favorite play, and that's the Battlehawks. I'll lay the 4 going up against the Renegades. A.J. McCarron, arguably best quarterback in this league. This will be his first home game. The Battlehawks have been on the road for 3 weeks. They're finally at home. And get this, they're expecting anywhere between 35 to 40,000 fans. Are you kidding me? Tickets, they're opening up the higher level bleachers for this game. That's how many fans they're expecting there. So huge crowd. And also, you've got a Renegades team. They lost their best corner to injury, unfortunately, Josh Hawkins, to a knee injury. Huge blow for them defensively. So I like the Battlehawks, and I'll lay the 4. So those are my picks heading into this week in the XFL. We always like to end the show with Before I Let You Go, and I've been doing some homework today. So listen, it's March Madness, right? It's time to be mad about all these college picks and plays, and so I've got a plethora of them for you. Buckle up, baby. All right, let's talk about UConn. I'm going to lay the points with UConn going up against Marquette. You can argue they've been one of the greatest teams in college basketball since February. They're 9-1 their last 10, and they rank top 10 in both offense and defensive efficiency. I love Creighton. This might be my favorite play tonight. Why? They just look great. Look what they did against Villanova. They led wire to wire, finished up 13 points with a win. They've got great defense. All 5 of their starters are putting up double digits. And they match up great against Xavier. Xavier likes to go with the pick and roll as well as transition. And so Creighton's defense will match up nicely. Here's another one for you. Duke and University of Miami. This is tough. I've got a small lean towards Duke, but my play here is the under. You know, it's about this time in the tournament where I think fatigue sets in, because a lot of these teams are playing 3 games in 3 days. And you've got the Dukies who are playing really good defense. They held Pittsburgh to 69 points. I think both these teams are going to beat up on one another, and I think it's going to be a tight game. Also, I do like Clemson, and I'll get Clemson getting the points here. Both these teams have excellent defenses, but Clemson, they look great against NC State. They're a good 3-point shooting team. They have better size. They have better depth. And oh, by the way, this is a revenge game for them. Also, give me TCU in the points. I also like Miles over 16.5 points for them. They looked good last night against K-State. I lost that. I was on the K-State side, so I learned my lesson. 3 of their last 4 games, they've put up 75 points. And Texas, they don't have a lot of bench play time. So talk about fatigue. I think they're going to be running out of gas. UCLA and Oregon, I'm going to go over here. Why? Well, UCLA is without Clark, so what does that mean? They're going to have to learn how to beat teams by offense. They're going to have to find ways to score, and I think we're getting a really, really good number here. And last but not least, give me Arizona. I'll lay the points. They beat up Stanford 95-84. They have the 6th best offense in efficiency and 52nd best defense efficiency. So I really like Arizona tonight. So again, we've got you locked and loaded. College, NBA, XFL, and we'll see what the Colts do as we get closer to the NFL draft. Have a great weekend, everybody.